How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be checking out this new carburetor that I got and this cool reed valve. So on my setup, what I'm probably going to do is, with the addition of putting a reed valve on a motor, you basically need to, as far as increasing performance, you want to add either a third transfer port or a boost port. Boost port's a lot easier because you really don't have to cut out much material. With a third transfer, you basically have to do a trench not only on the top of the intake, but also all the way down to the bottom, plus inside the case. So it requires a little bit more modification. I'm sure you do get a little bit more power out of a third transfer. And once you run a third transfer, you don't have to run a window, which is pretty nice. But I'm going to go the easy route and the more common sense route and do the window and the boost port. I'm going to also be showing you guys the new way I like to port stuff. I'm going to show you guys how I calculate my port numbers. I used to use a degree wheel, but I've since learned that using a port timing calculator is simply much more accurate. So all you're going to need for this is a caliper. Go ahead and zero it out and stick it on top of your bore there. And basically you just want to measure the distance between the two. Okay? It's kind of hard to do this with the camera in the face, but... So once you get your number, I've already done so you just write it down. Then you go in your calculator, you do your durations, right? So for me, it's 161 exhaust, and then transfer is 117. So then you take those two numbers, you divide them by 2 for your blowdown, divide them by 2, then you subtract them from each other, and this engine right here is 22 degrees. You got a degree symbol. 22 degrees of blowdown. So what does that mean? It means this cylinder, when I had on that engine, it had really good torque, at least down low. Mid-range was a little bit wanting. I'm gonna say that's because of my F2 thruster. It doesn't really have much to offer when it comes to the mid-range torque. But in theory, this cylinder should have a lot of torque, and I think it does. It's just my exhaust is limiting. But what I'm gonna do with this one, I'm looking for a bit more peak RPM. So with the addition of the reed valve, which will not only give me more mid-range, I'm also gonna raise the exhaust. Reason for this is because I want to increase my blowdown from 22 degrees to about 25 degrees. 22 to 25 is a pretty safe range. Once you go past that, I'm talking like 28, 30 degrees of blowdown, you're basically having a full-blown race engine that below 6,000 RPM, 7,000 RPM is a complete dog. So basically, I don't want any of that. I just want something that performs a little bit better at the higher RPM, so that's probably what I'm gonna go with, but I was gonna widen it too. The basic metric is 70% of the bore diameter, but I'm probably just gonna widen it slightly because, like I said, this motor worked great. I don't want to change it. I just want to improve a little bit of what I already have. So for this part of the process, I'm going to be using a marker, a good old piston ring, and just a piston head line around. And basically I want to get my boost port pretty much level with the existing transfers. So what I'm going to do is just stick this ring in, right? Get it somewhat square by hand. Take your piston, drop it in the bore, and we're going to look inside and see where it gets level. Just keep going. I mean, this is pretty simple stuff, but like I said, you can go slightly above, but like I said, I don't really want to change the torque curve too much, so I'll just go level just to play it safe. That looks pretty good there. Okay. So you can see that we have successfully made our piston ring equal with our existing transfers. So what I'm going to do now is on that bottom side there, it's so hard to show this on camera. See, like right there, I'm going to use my marker. Here, just put this back into the vise here, upside down, and I'll show you guys at a better angle. So before I go ahead and put my mark here, I just want to mention something. I'm going to hear a lot of guys in the comments saying that they've seen me, including a lot of other builders, put it 1 millimeter above the existing transfers. Why am I not doing that in this case? Because basically the way I want this motor to work, I want it to have a bit more mid-range power, also revving out a little bit more. How do I do so? I'm going to raise the exhaust like I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to also make my boost port level with the existing transfers. What this achieves is a very good broad torque curve at the higher RPMs. From, like I said, if you go above, then you're just going to have all that peak power. but you're not going to have much in the mid-range, and then you have to gear around that, and that's annoying. Putting a 40 tooth on it, nobody wants to do that. So basically, this is why I'm doing it like that. But I'm just gonna mark it with my yellow marker, just like so. And then I'm gonna remove the ring and we'll start porting. Also, this is something I really gotta show y'all. A lot of you in the past, including myself, unfortunately when porting, it's very, very easy to skip a bit and go ahead and scratch up your cylinder lining. That is not what we want here. So what I did is use some old Gorilla tape and just basically taped around there where I'm gonna be porting. So on the cylinder itself, I'm gonna be using one of these bigger carbide burrs. Again, there's nothing wrong with the one on your little Dremel, but this air Dremel is gonna cut it a lot quicker. And I'm kind of on a time constraint right now, so this is what I need to get it done. But I've always used this in the past. I mean, it's a really good piece. It works very well. So I gotta say, it's pretty hard to get a good camera angle of me doing this porting, but it turned out awesome. As you can see, it's nice and clean. So all I got to do now is the windowed piston to go along with it. I'm debating if I want to raise my exhaust port still, but we'll see where it brings us. Looking good. All right, and a little bit of editing magic. Let's go from this to this. Looks pretty good, don't it? So I'm just gonna clean up the bench a little bit, but something I thought I would show some of the new guys here, and it's gonna really help you understand these motors a lot more. I made this quick little graph here, and I'll throw up on screen. Basically all it does is it shows the blue line is the stock, like bone stock engine, maybe has a pipe, and that's about it. I'm doing this off the voiceover, so I'm not gonna remember every single color and what they do. But basically there's a line for high exhaust duration, there's a line for high exhaust duration and high transfer duration, and then there's one for all three combined with the boost port. So basically it's just going to give you, because I've been building engines for a little bit now, and I can give you a general idea of what certain things you do to it, how it's going to affect the power curve. Like I said, this is based on my experience. This is at a very entry level, you know, China doll motors. We're talking stock bore size, stock stroke, things like that. So in summary, basically how this works is, now that it's all ported, I can kind of show you easier. So basically when it's at bottom dead center, right, when that port's open, it works with a window, and how it does it is basically, imagine your crankcase is here, and this is the bottom end, and fuel can escape and go under there. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a noticeable trench there, and it comes up through the cylinder, just like these additional transfers, and then that's how you get your extra power. Look inside the cylinder here. You can see that's when she's closed, and that's when it's open. Looking pretty good. All right, starting to get it all mocked up here. You can see I had to switch the filter because the one BikeBerry supplied, this isn't their fault. I actually give them credit because this one's an upgraded one. I had to stick one of my cheaper ones on, but reed valve looks pretty cool. And yeah, so I'm gonna put the filter on this bike, so at least we'll have a even swap there, but looking pretty good. So just took the bike for a quick little spin, and I gotta say, it does have pretty good torque. It was slipping the clutch. However, when I just put this 3-springer on, and I think some of that WD-40 still in there from tapping the hole, so I gotta get that off really ASAP. But once I do that, I think the clutch will hold just fine. The top end, there's something left to be desired, but like I said, it still has the big old jet in there, so gonna have to go ahead and swap that out for like a 65 or a 68. In my experience, when you put the boost port in, you have to up jet a little bit from 65, so we'll try that. But I'm pretty much going to wrap up the video there. There's not too much more to say, but it does look pretty neat, and it fits this bike's kind of theme pretty well. So if you guys enjoyed this video or found it useful, make sure to leave that down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.